All right! Welcome back to As It Should Be. Paul Bertolino here in the world-famous As It Should Be studios. Crystal Durant here in the world-famous As It Should Be studios. Tommy Von Voigt. Coincidentally in the world-famous As It Should Be
Is that where the hell I am right now?
Yeah, totally.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yes.
And, well, today we are doing something that I've been wanting to do for a long time.
What's that? Staying indoors on a beautiful day?
Yeah, I've been wanting to have I want to have the blackout curtains on here.
No, wait, are we rating all the Sloan albums?
No. I mean, you can't have everything. But today we are going to be ranking the Elton John albums.
Ah!
This has been a long journey.
Yeah.
To get to this.
Yeah.
Oh, some foreshadowing there.
Oh! Hey-o.
It's a long road to get to this. I initially was going to do an Elton John ranking on my own, and I was just going to do the 70s albums. And then when we started doing videos as a group, I thought, no, we should do Elton John as a group and just, do it for real.
Yep.
Do the whole damn thing.
Yep.
And Jim Laspisa, our friend Jim, you're watching. There you are. Hi, Jim. Hey, how you doing? Oh, is that Derek over there?
Hey, Derek.
He started asking me, are you going to do Elton John? Oh, yeah, we'll be doing it soon. Oh, yeah, months, 2 years have gone by of him asking me about this. And then he had this new album pending. The album that just came out, the Brandy Carlisle record. But I didn't know it was a Brandy Carlisle record, basically.
Right.
I thought it was a new Elton John record. So I waited this past year for that to come out, because I thought if we do this, we'll do this, and then a month later he'll put a new album out, and it'll be damn. Well, so he puts out the album, and it's a Brandy Carlisle collaboration. So it's not eligible for the list because we're not doing collab albums.
Nope.
So this whole last year of waiting was for naught.
Nothing.
Yep.
So we're finally doing this right now,
Carlisle.
ranking the Elton John albums. And it's already going to be a long episode, so I don't need to do a long intro, and I just did. All right, so...
wait, I just got a news alert on my phone. Elton just dropped a new album.
Oh, shit. See you next time.
We should have waited.
Back.
and it's a deuce. Yeah. Well, all right. I believe I am first.
You are.
Yes, you are.
And let's see. How do I do this? Okay, there's that.
And then
There's that.
There we go.
There we go. Now,
Perfect.
boom. All right. Now, as I kind of already said, we're not doing collaboration albums. We're not doing EPs. We're not doing live albums. We're not doing soundtracks. Okay, so don't come into the fucking comments. Where's Friends? Where's Union?
Where's
I want to hear about the Lion King.
No.
Yeah, where's the Lion King? Where's
No.
the lockdown sessions?
No.
They're on your list. Okay. All right. We're doing the 31 proper solo studio Elton John records.
31.
Yeah.
31.
31.
So-
31 when you remove all that other stuff,
Shit.
there's 31.
31 left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So literally, this would be at least a 40 album list if we included that stuff.
Yeah.
At least.
Crazy.
So okay, here we go. Let's get to it.
Uh-oh.
Oh man. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Now, I'm a lifelong Elton John fan. I have loved Elton John since I was 4. And there comes a point where, yeah, we had to listen to a whole lot of records that we had not listened to before. There's so many of those later albums I had never heard.
Same.
We've heard them now.
Yes, we
have
have.
heard them now. And, well, all right, so let's get with it. Coming in number 31. Victim of Love from 1979. Oh, man.
I did not know about the existence of this until we did this
Oh,
ranking.
man. I mean, who knew that the bottom of the list would be a 70s album? But you know what?
There's a reason.
Elton's ill-advised coke-fueled disco record, which features no Elton originals and opens with an 8-minute cover of Johnny B. Good. A disco record with a cover of Johnny B. Good? This is Bob Dylan's self-portrait levels of what the fuck. Bottom of the list. All right.
Dude, let me just say, that version of Johnny B. Good makes Judas Priest's version of Johnny B. Good sound good. That was my takeaway from that. I'm like, wow, that was a neat trick you just pulled.
Yeah, you made Judas Priest cover Johnny B. Good not seem so egregious.
Yes.
That's saying a lot.
That's saying a lot. Okay, coming in number 30. Coming in number 30. Now going for the eras we need to be going after. And then we got Leather Jackets from 1986. Woo-hoo-hoo. Opening track starts out sounding like somebody snuck Jump for My Love by the Pointer Sisters onto the record, and that's possibly the highlight moment. This album is so phoned in, Pac Bell probably gets the residuals. Zing! Okay, alright, so number 29. Ice on Fire, 1985. His first album with Gus Dudgeon producing since 1976, Blue Moves, but he also fired G. Murray and Nigel Olsson again and proceeded to make one of his crappiest albums to date. Weak, lightweight songwriting, the cheapest, most low-rent version of 80s production, no standouts at all in my opinion. The big singles are Nikita and Wrapper Up, neither of which have I ever liked in the least, a huge drop-off from his last few records. Number 28. Reg Strikes Back from 1988. Woo! Bland, uneventful, but at least slightly more listenable than the bottom three on my list, but that's saying nothing. When he tries to rock, like on Goodbye Marlon Brando, it just sounds like TV commercial rock. It literally sounds like rock music written by an ad agency. Or worse yet, the New Monkees. Like really, there's a song in there that literally sounds like if you go back, if you go back to the and actually that's the case on my number 25 as well. If you go back to the fictional albums or fictional bands video, and I show that New Monkees commercial, there are tracks on these records that sound like that.
Yeah,
it's terrible. So I am at number 27. Sleeping with the Past from 1989. Safe, beige, nothingness. Pottery Barn music. Okay, number 26. The One from 1992. Pottery Barn, that's exactly what it is.
You're right.
26. The One from 1992. More soulless, sterile pap. It's here where I should mention that Elton is not the only guilty party. Bernie is plundering the depths as well. In fact, since Elton springboards from the lyrics, which, by the the way they collaborate, always came first, Bernie may be more to blame than we realize. Oh shit, there's a beer commercial rock collaboration with Eric Clapton. I'm out. Okay.
Dude, we were texting about doing these lists while I was actively listening to that the Eric Clapton track.
Oh, God.
And just thinking, oh my God. Oh, what the hell did I agree to do? As we're texting each other.
That was the song you were
that
on.
was the song that was on.
Yeah, I was like, well, it comes on, I'm like, this sounds like a fucking beer, this sounds like an Eric Clapton beer commercial, and then I looked up the credits, I'm like, oh yeah, it's Eric Clapton.
Yeah.
It's just the way that you use it. Yeah, bleh.
That song isn't a pimple on the ass of that song.
Yeah.
It's definitely, well, it's a pimple on the ass, that's for sure. Okay, well, number 25, Made in England, 1995. I have two pairs of glasses on, it's kind of fucking me up here. Oh, how cute. It's 1995 and every single song title is one word. Dude is grunge as fuck. Opener, Believe, is actually almost decent by the standards of this whole depressingly awful era. Ugh. Then it's back to the New Monkees. Yeah, the title track literally sounds like a fucking New Monkees track. There's a short stretch of three songs, Belfast, Latitude, and Please, where somebody put just a dab of jam on the rice cake, which is what put it above the records below it. Okay. Number 24, The Big Picture from 1997. It's 1997, but still apparently the 80s in Elton world. This is still more bland Hallmark card mom pop, but there are actually a few moody pieces on it that I like slightly more than the utter wasteland of albums I've discussed so far. Slightly. Okay, so number 23, The Diving Board from 2013. A concept album. I see what he's going for here, and it would probably be good in the hands of 1975 Elton, but most of his compositions have started to sound mostly the same. His voice isn't as horribly dry as on the last few records, but it just sounds terrible. It's getting too husky, too wavery, and hoarse for me. I appreciate that he's trying to make something a bit more creative, artistically satisfying than the mom schlock of the 80s and 90s, but he just doesn't have it in him at this point to totally pull it off. It's too long, too plotting, and I can't find it in me even to give a fuck at this point in the catalog.
Yeah.
Okay, my number 22, Wonderful Crazy Night from 2016. Woo! This basically sounds like the more upbeat and to the point Diving Board to me. Like a better, more varied album could be put together by using the best tracks from both, I guess. Elton looks a lot better on the cover than he sounds on the album. And the songs, I mean, I feel like there are 10 more of just about any of these on any of the albums from 2001 forward. It's not bad in the least, just not at all exciting or inspired.
Yeah.
Did that even make sense? Some of this is the way I wrote it out, and I've accidentally left out words.
It's fine.
Some of these albums had damaged your brain.
Yeah, they really have. All right, so number 21, Breaking Hearts from 1984. The follow-up to Too Low for Zero. It has some standout tracks that, or at least I thought so when I listened. I listed some standout tracks here, and then when I went back and gave the album another once-over, I was like, oh, I put that as a standout? but I left them, I don't know. Burning Buildings, the title track, Sad Songs Say So Much Is Okay, Who Wears These Shoes? The singles are okay on this, I don't hate them. Did He Shoot Her is possibly the most overtly 80s track on the album, but it's one of my favorites on the record, strangely. Restless is an unexpectedly rockin' opener for a 1984 album. His attempts to rock in this album have a little bit of a young country 80s Roadhouse vibe, but it also sounds distinctly Elton. Side 2 opener Passenger is god-awful, like head-scratchingly bad. Far from a great album, but nowhere near as bad as I would have expected. Number 20, Regimental Sergeant Zippo from 1968/2021. Elton's 60s psych album. Overtly, almost cartoonishly 60s, in fact. On paper, I should like this album much more than I do, but the simple fact is, it's really not that good.
It's not.
It's kind of... it's just not. It's kind of Elton's equivalent of Bowie's 1967 album, in a way. It's not bad by any means, but he's just not ready to make an album yet. He and Bernie weren't writing great songs yet, just decent ones. Turn to Me is a highlight. Angel Tree sounds like a late 60s, early 70s fictional cartoon band. This was recorded in 68, originally supposed to be his debut, but ultimately it was shelved, and we didn't get it until 2021 when it was released on Record Store Day. Number 19, Peachtree Road from 2004. The second in a trilogy of albums where EJ seems to be trying to get back to an earthier 70s vibe. I think this is far better than the 80s and 90s albums. As great as the 70s? Not by a mile, but this is Elton trying to shed the schlock of the past 2 decades to the best of his ability. My only major complaint about this album, my only major complaints about the album are that his voice is too dry, and it's also starting to falter. And he's trying too hard to do Tumbleweed Connection country vibes thing. There are admittedly quite a few subpar songs here, but there are also some real gems. He seems to have lost his range as composer. The songs are basically back and forth between ballads, which is most of it, and a couple of rockers. The whimsy and camp of his greatest records is completely absent. Not great, but I don't think this is a bad record. 18, The Captain and the Kid from 2006. Third album in the Elton Gets Back trilogy. This is the sequel to Captain Fantastic, and well, like many sequels, it ain't a pimple on the ass of the original. Same exact issues as the other records from this period. The dry vocal problem isn't quite as bad, but he's really doubling down on the country Elton thing. Half the songs are subpar, but there are some highlights for me. Wouldn't Have It Any Other Way is one I like a lot, and Tinderbox is by far the winner for me. Number 17, Songs from the West Coast from 2001. The first album in this trilogy. Elton has finally discovered the 90s loud, dry vocal sound. Yay!
Oh, goody!
Luckily, it's only really bad on some tracks, like the opener. When you hear the piano intro for the opener, The Emperor's New Clothes, you think, it's Elton John, he's back! Then the vocal comes in. It's overcompressed, bone dry, and the loudest thing in the mix. Dark Diamond sounds like a holdover from his 80s period, but at least it's better. He tries to get back to 70s Elton on this album, but doesn't quite hit the mark. But there are gems. This Train Don't Stop, for instance, is a bullseye. Of course, the requisite 2000s Elton complaints, it's too country and all that kind of shit. But it's kind of a breath of fresh air after you've gone through the 90s and 80s shit, at least to me. Number 16, The Fox from 1981. This was a pretty commercially dire period for Elton. I remember he seemed like a hopeless has-been at the time. Starts out very strong with Breaking Down Barriers. The second track is an early 80s equivalent of Stinker from Caribou. Nobody Wins was one of the singles, but it's pretty B-level. Fascist Faces, lyrics with lyrics by Toppin seems like it could have been a decent mid-level track on one of his 70s albums. Chloe is a standout on side 2, but apparently some of the songs are leftovers from 21 at 33, and it shows. Okay, number 15, 21 at 33 from 1980. Bernie is back! On a few songs at least. It's part Bernie and part Gary Osborne, who he replaced Bernie with for a while, and it's kind of a mixed bag. Chasing the Crown starts out with a very early example of the 80s Top Gun lead guitar, courtesy of Steve Lukather. But then the album settles into a lightweight early 80s adult contemporary vibe. No edges whatsoever. Little Genie was all over the radio at the time, and I was not into it. I love it now, though, but it's all nostalgia. I like the first 3 tracks, but then the album drops off. It doesn't become bad, it just becomes... meh. It ranks this high just for the 1, 2, 3 punch at the beginning, and the sax solo on Never Gonna Fall in Love Again. Number 14, Too Low for Zero from 1983. Elton's comeback album after his late 70s, early 80s slump. I remember everybody at the time hailing this as his best album since his classic period. This is a masterful example of keeping current and unmistakably 80s while retaining his classic essence. He's not losing himself in a desperate attempt to be modern, and it doesn't hurt that Bernie and the classic band are back full time. The opening guitar on Kiss the Bride is distinctly Davy Johnstone. He definitely sounds more focused on this one. That said, I don't think it's as good as people made it out to be at the time, but it's still one of his strongest albums in a while. Number 13, Empty Sky, his actual debut from 1969. Early proto-Elton. It's nowhere near as good as he would get very soon afterward. The production is thin, the performances aren't terribly confident, but I've always liked this album. The opening title track is a fun rocker. Valhalla is a Baroque track. This record definitely sounds like the next step up from the then unreleased regimental Sgt. Zippo stuff. It's kind of like Billy Joel's Cold Spring Harbor. Many of these songs are diamonds in the rough, as later re-recordings of Skyline Pigeon have shown. Yeah. Number 12, Jump Up, 1982. This is a pretty decent bounce back after the weak Fox LP. Opens with a fun and energetic 1, 2, 3 punch of Dear John, Spiteful Child, and Ball and Chain. Includes 2 of his strongest singles in some time, Empty Garden and Blue Eyes. Fuck, Empty Garden in particular, my god. Now that is my Elton. Princess harkens back to 70s Elton somewhat. I Am Your Robot is pretty terrible, but overall it's a better album than I remembered. Number 11, A Single Man from 1978. Elton's first album without Bernie Taupin, and boy does it show. Inexplicably, he started writing with mediocre lyricist Gary Osborne and started to churn out noticeably weaker material. I don't like the first couple of tracks at all much, though they aren't necessarily bad. They introduce the blander Elton to come. Part-Time Love reeks of the impending early 80s era, but there are some highlights here for me. Big Dipper I like. It still has some shades of good 70s Elton, and my 2 favorite tracks on the album by far, It Ain't Gonna Be Easy and Shooting Star, a delicate, moody ballad that foreshadows Sade, but with warm 70s production. Number 10, the self-titled, the second album, Elton John from 1970. Yeah, I think a lot of people wouldn't have this one this low, but Elton has a lot of really great albums that are coming up. Elton's self-titled breakthrough second album opens with Your Song, and that's it. There's no turning back now. This is where Gus Dudgeon and Paul Buckmaster come in on production and string arrangements, respectively, and bring things to the next level. A major step up from Empty Sky, boasting absolute classics like Take Me to the Pilot, Border Song, and of course Your Song, but also great album cuts like I Need You to Turn To, 60 Years On, and The King Must Die. Yeah. Number 9, Don't Shoot Me, I'm Only the Piano Player from 1973. This has always been one of my least favorite 70s Elton 70s albums. It's still really good. Any album that opens with Daniel can't be bad. he's full force into his glam period here, but I just don't think most of the songs are as strong as Madman or Across the Water or Honky Chateau before it, or anywhere near Goodbye Electric Road, which came up next. Other than Daniel, I find Have Mercy on the Criminal, I'm Gonna Be a Teenage Idol, and Blues for Baby and Me to be standouts. Caribou at number 8. Now, this has always been a tough one for me to... I find it really good and kind of weak at the same time. I don't know. It's really weird. But every time I listen to it, I'm like, oh yeah, I like that song. Oh yeah, I like that song. Oh yeah, I like that song. And I step away from it, and I like remember it as kind of a weak one. I don't know. I don't know what it is about this record, but it boasts the great hit Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me, and of course The Bitch Is Back. Pinky and I've Seen the Saucers are the deep dark horse cuts of this album for me. Solar Prestige A Gammon is a ridiculous but fun track made up of intentionally gibberish lyrics.
I love it.
Okay, now coming up, Little Bear Loses Way. Okay, here we go. Number 7. Blue Moves from 1976. This is a very high. This is a very high spot for this record. Now, okay. This is a very tough record to rank. There is so much stuff on this one that I absolutely love, but there are also some key blunders. Like the opening. It starts out with a weird little instrumental that gives way to a bloated, overlong 8-minute ballad called Tonight that's one of my least favorite tracks on the album. The third track, One Horse Town, should have been the opener. The opener, as is, really takes a toll on your overall perception of the record, and as a result, I find it to be underrated. Honestly, there are only 5 tracks on this album that I don't love. It includes 2 of my very favorite deep cuts, Between 17 and 20 and Idol, a moody cocktail bar ballad, piano ballad about a fallen Elvis-like star, which has a line in it that Elton himself should have kept in mind going forward. And it goes, "But his face has changed. He's not the same no more. And I have to say that I like the way his music sounded before."
Ouch.
You listening, Elton? Okay. Yeah. All right. Number 6. Arguably low. Madman Across the Water from 1971. An obvious classic, which boasts some of the greatest songs ever written, like, of course, Tiny Dancer. I've always felt that the title track is one of the Dark Horse greats in his catalog. The album drops off a bit for me after Holiday Inn on side 2, but side 1 alone earns this album this place on this list. Okay, my number 5. Tumbleweed Connection, 1970, his third album. No major singles from this one, but it was still a huge success because he already had it in the can when he broke through the US with Your Song, so it sold like hotcakes when it was released. Some incredible songs, though. Where To Now, St. Peter, Burn Down the Mission, Amarina, Love Song, Come Down in Time? Yeah, oh my god. Okay, so number 4. Honky Chateau from 1972. The arrival of the whimsical glam Elton. The classic Elton John band has fully arrived as well. The lyrics now have a great sense of humor that previous albums lacked. Rocket Man, Honky Cat, Mellow, I Think I'm Gonna Kill Myself, Mona Lisa's and Mad Hatters. Damn. Ah, God. Okay, so number 3. Rock of the Westies from 1975. Oh, man. Now this is...
Oh.
Yell Help, Dan Dare, I Feel Like a Bullet in the Gun of Robert Ford,
God.
Street Kids. See, the thing is that I first started to become cognizant of Elton around 74, and that's when I really, really started getting most heavily into music. So 75 Elton is just like the honeymoon period for me. So I remember when Rock of the Westies came out, and I loved it so much, and it has only gotten better to me over time. I think it's a great record, but it's also in my heart too, and it just kind of can't lose for me. But my top 2, I mean, it's kind of a tie, but it's not a tie. I chose, and I'll explain why I chose the one at number 1 that I chose. But my number 2, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road from 1973. I mean, what do I need to say about this record? I'll just list some great songs. Funeral for a Friend, Love Lies Bleeding, Candle in the Wind, Benny and the Jets. That's side 1. Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. This song has no title. Gray Seal. I've seen that movie too. Saturday Night's Alright for Fighting. Harmony. Jesus fucking Christ. And there's something I need to mention here. In 1973, he made 2 albums. Don't Shoot Me, I'm Only the Piano Player, and this double album. In 1 year, he did this double album and a whole other fucking album.
Yeah.
What?
Exactly.
How was that possible? And just absolutely killed the whole time. Just like, boom, just everybody get the fuck out of my way. God. But my number one is kind of always going to be Captain Fantastic and the Brown Dirt Cowboy. That was my first Elton album. That was the first Elton album that I owned, that was my own, and one of the very first albums that I ever owned, period. That's one of my earliest albums that belonged to me. I had records, but they were hand-me-downs, or they were just kind of around because they belonged to somebody else, but they were at my disposal. This was one of the first records that was mine. And I remember when it came out. I remember before the album came out, Someone Saved My Life Tonight came out as a single, and I hadn't heard on the radio yet, but my Aunt Vivian was like, I have the new Elton John single, and she had it. And she put down the 45 and played Someone Saved My Life Tonight, and I was like, oh. Yeah. And then, of course, the album came out. My Uncle Dino got the record. Vivian probably got the record, too, and I would listen to it and just, oh, my God, the title track, Tower of Babel, Someone Saved My Life Tonight, of course, Gotta Get a Meal Ticket, Better Off Dead, Writing. I mean, all of side 2. I mean, the whole album, there's not a bad track on it, but side 2 is kind of like my side. And but I ended up getting the record because my grandpa Bertolino decided one day that he was going to take us all to Montgomery Ward's and buy us records. And this is the one I got. And I remember sitting in the kitchen that day, cracking open the record, and all the adults and teenagers going through it with me and pulling out, because there were all these inserts. There were 2 booklets. There's a poster of the album cover in there. It was just like brimming with stuff, and everybody was going through it. Like, one of the books is a lyric book, and the other one is a scrapbook. And I remember everybody like passing the books around and having this big thing. And this album is just this album runs deep.
The way you just described all of that, going to Montgomery Boards, getting records, blah 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 blah. I feel like I can smell this memory.
Yeah,
you just described.
And if at first you're thinking, how the fuck is Goodbye Yellow Brick Road number 2? I think now you know why.
I understand.
I understand. Yeah, now you know why. But there you go. That is my my ranking, and got through that in half an hour.
Dang, dude.
26 minutes.
That was practically a
28
speed
minutes.
run, considering what the subject matter was.
Yeah, well, I was rushing through so hard that I start stammering. Well, so my notes, I would start to read, and I go, oh shit, I left out a word and it would throw me off.
I know what you mean, yeah.
Anyway, so enough of that babble. The Tower of Babel. We're going to go to a commercial.
Starts in 10 minutes. We're gonna be late. Yeah, come on.
No, I want to get this right.
Okay, Elton, you think the piano's gonna get you anywhere? Yeah, Elton.
All right.
Come on, Mom and Dad, get a piano for your most valuable player at Colton Piano and Organ Supermarts, Colton, Carson, and Santa Ana.
Well, we are back, and I believe Tommy is next.
He is.
I suspect you've shown up with the list today.
Oh boy, howdy.
Okay, you may have some things to say about some Elton John albums?
I've got some things to say. We have some stuff to discuss. Now, like you, I had not actually listened to a large amount of these albums from
the later ones,
lesser explored periods.
Not as classic periods. And this might come as a surprise to some, but I'd never even bothered exploring his 80s catalog. You would have thought I would have, but I never had. I knew of a couple of big hits that he had at the time, but I never really dove into any of them. So I was kind of excited to do that, at least. I was like, well, I'm looking forward to seeing what Elton did with the 80s, and we'll get to that. We found out.
Yeah, we found out.
But because of the way I did this, Paul had shared on the drive a list of all the actual proper 31 Elton, not on the drive, on the group thread. The text thread, the list. You shared the list.
I shared the list. Yeah, all 31
are the albums.
In order. Make no mistake, these are the ones we're ranking.
Yes.
Yeah.
So basically, what I did, since I am trying to squeeze 27 hours of things into each day, I have no free time left at all. I did this like last minute this week. This was the last list I had to prepare, and it was this one. So I listened to all the albums in sequence from your list. Starting with Empty Sky and going all the way up to the most recent one, the Sergeant fucking Zippo, whatever. Lonely Hearts Club Regiment, yeah. Her Satanic Majesty Zippo. So what ended up happening is, as I was getting more and more, I would make notes as I was going along the way and also placing them in the list. But what this led to is a situation where I'm sometimes commenting on the album I just previously listened to, but like now it's in a different spot. So the comment might seem like, well, what the hell is he referring to?
Yes.
Because this one now got moved ahead, but you know what I mean? Yeah.
Oh, I do know. I ran into exactly that issue.
Yes.
And had to go back and kind of rearrange some of the notes, which is part of the reason I think why some of my notes were a little fucked up.
I massaged mine a little bit, but there's still like shades of that, so you're gonna hear like, well, what the hell's. What's he getting? He sounds like he's freaking out all of a sudden. And, so anyway, and I guess I'll just get started. Let's just get started. So coming in at number 30, and there's a reason for it being number 30 and not 31.
Okay.
Spoiler, there's a tie coming. Okay? My number 30 from 2013, The Diving Board.
It,
Kind of gives a new perspective on the whole Billy Joel just decided to stop making albums thing, doesn't it? Kind of gives you a new appreciation for it.
you're like, yeah, Billy,
Yeah,
you did the
like,
right
I don't know,
thing.
maybe Billy. Now let's hear Billy out for a second.
So Billy's standing on the side watching Elton going, don't do that.
Yep, just proving my point there, guy. My number 29 from 2006, The Captain and the Kid. And here's a perfect example of these comments being kind of, because I wrote in all caps, why am I doing this?
This is the only second album you're talking about now, but you had just listened to like 25 albums before that.
Exactly. This is where I was. This is my headspace at this point. By the time I was listening to 2006's The Captain and the Kid, I'm like screaming internally, wanting to stop, wanting the pain to stop. So then we move on to number 28, 2004's Peachtree Road. At this point, I was listening to maybe 4 or 5 seconds of each song, getting the idea, and moving on with my life.
I got to that point myself.
I just couldn't take it anymore, man.
Well, and I commented this. I said this earlier. You get to a point where it's like I feel like he's just writing the same song over
and over again.
Yeah, he has like a couple of sort of rhythmic things that he does, and he just does them over and over and over.
Yeah. Okay, my number 27, Songs from the West Coast from 2001. Sounds like his first album all over again, but with worse songs, less vocal range, and super dry production. Parched, desert.
A remix of that album would work wonders on it.
Desperately needed.
Yes.
Might actually make me want to rethink
It
where I
would be
put
kind
the
of a
damn
good
thing.
album, I think.
Yeah, I can't understate how much that super dry production, especially on the vocal, takes me out of it. It just takes me the hell out of it. My number 26 from 1979, we've got Victim of Love. I usually dig hearing the disco record people inevitably put out if their careers lined up with that point in time. Usually. And that's all there is to say about that.
And you would think that Elton would
John
kill
would
that.
be
You would think
crushed.
Elton
I
would
would've
knock
thought he
that out of the
would've
fucking park.
murdered this.
Don't Go Breaking My Heart tells you that Elton would knock that shit out of the park.
I know. With the opening track, I was like, okay, this is going to be his disco record. Well, once I get past this bullshit, there's going to be some slamming disco shit on here. Nope.
No.
How does a gay guy not make a good disco record?
What the actual hell, Elton?
Yeah. You have to give back your gay card.
Yeah.
So
Turn
you
it
can't
in.
make a proper disco record. You can't be gay. I'm
That's
sorry.
it.
Those are
You're
rules.
out.
God. All right, my number 25 from 2016, Wonderful Crazy Night. There are moments when he sounds energized again, like he gives a shit again. But the joy quickly fades every time it arrives, and he also sounds so fucking dry.
Yeah. And his voice just sounds terrible.
And that's the worst combination, because now he's an older vocalist with dry vocal production. It
Right.
makes him sound even older than he naturally does at this point.
And drier.
Yeah.
We have talked about this on this show before, and I'm going to beat that drum again in the future. It makes me crazy.
Yeah.
My number 24, we have from 1997, The Big Picture. And I wrote, and now I'm asleep.
Oh, my God.
Which probably made more sense in context with the album that preceded its comment.
Nah, it still makes sense.
Yeah, it does still make sense, though.
Granted, I went on the same journey you did,
Yes,
so
you
it
did.
makes sense
Yeah,
to me.
so you understand. You've been there, man. We've seen shit.
We've seen this. We're war buddies here.
That's right,
The
man. We were in the
trenches
shit.
together. Yeah.
We were literally in the shit. All right, my number 23 from 1992, we have The One, and I wrote, fuck me, I still have 8 more albums to get through after this one.
Yeah.
Lou, let me tell you something, dude. I was fatigued by this point of this album from 1992's The One. I was like worn the hell out. He wore me down.
Well, and that's the thing that's unfortunate, too. Well, that's kind of, in a way, I would say the bad part about going the way you did.
I know.
Because when you had all the energy was when you were listening to also the good stuff. It's
Yep.
almost like you need the energy and the enthusiasm to get through the shitty stuff and see it in the best light.
I guess.
Because you probably disliked this stuff even more than you would have, which isn't to say you would have liked it. It probably seemed that much worse because you're like fucking 30 albums in and 30 hours in.
I mean, okay. Admittedly, it would have painted it in a far better, slightly better way.
You only would have hated
I'll say
it.
slightly better. Yes, I aggressively dislike this stuff.
Yeah.
But yes, I would have just been like, this album sucks, move on.
Yeah.
But now, like, it got to the point where I was, like, mad at the album. I was upset. I was, like, angry. Like, I was taking this shit personal at this point.
I was mad at Elton. How could you fucking do this to us?
For real. Like, I thought we were friends, Elton.
Come on.
All right. Moving on now to still only number 22 on my list. From 1995, Made in England. And I wrote, everything sounds like everything else now, and I can't remember shit, even if I just heard it a second ago.
Yeah.
I mean, where's the lie?
No lies detected.
Yep. All right. 21. From 1969, Empty Sky. Yes.
Wow.
I find myself not really caring about anything on this album at all, except for Skyline Pigeon. I can hear the Elton we love here, though. The songs just aren't quite there yet for me.
Not quite. It doesn't, like I said, it doesn't sound confident.
No, it's like still proto-Elton.
Yeah.
My number 20. From 1980, 21 at 33. This is a return to form after the regrettable Victim of Love, but the results are, for me, still mostly meh. I'm not sure what's wrong, but on a completely unrelated note, give track 5 a listen. I don't know.
Give it a listen.
Give it a listen.
Maybe that might tell you what's wrong.
Maybe.
Yeah. Alrighty. My number 19 from 1985, Ice on Fire. I wrote Skip It.
Oh, yeah, that one is especially bad. Ooh.
Yeah. From my number 18 from 1988, Red Strikes Back. Meh. Yep. My number 17 from 2021/1968, Regimental Sergeant Zippo. I wasn't sure what the hell to do with this. It's almost randomly placed. Honestly, I would even say it's a better debut than his actual debut in some ways. It's interesting. More interesting for me. Although it's absolutely a Sgt. Pepper Satanic Majesties ripoff.
Yeah, they're totally just aping what is currently in vogue.
Yeah.
And they're so above that.
Yeah, we need psychedelic circus music now. That's what our debut will be.
Yeah, okay, here's the Baroque part.
Here we go, yep. My number 16 from 1970, we have Tumbleweed Connection. I wrote... Wow. I know. There's going to be some shit where I've placed it. It's going to be a little bit controversial, and that's all right. I mean, it's no big deal.
You do what you want.
I do what I want.
Wow.
It's established. I wrote slightly proto-Billy Joel and more proper Elton, but the songs just really aren't doing it for me just yet. Also, there is a little bit too much honky-tonk at times.
A little too much honky-tonk.
Honky-tonk.
Yeah, well, which is kind of the idea on that.
I know,
but that doesn't mean you're going to be into it.
I don't like honky-tonk.
Yeah.
I mean, really don't.
The title alone probably told you that you were going to have some issues, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'd messed with this record before, and it always kind of left me like, okay. All right, so my number 15 from 1978, I have A Single Man. And I wrote, it's interesting to hear prime era Elton, but without focused, tight songs. I'm not saying it's good to hear. I'm just saying it's interesting.
It's interesting, yeah. No,
like,
I mean, it's
like So this is what that would sound like kind of thing. All right. My number 14 from 1986, I have Leather Jackets. And I wrote, this is better than Ice on Fire, but that's not that hard.
No.
Yeah.
Not at all.
My number 13 from 1970, I have the self-titled Elton John. Elton's second album, and he's almost here. Still not my favorite early album by him by a long shot. You could also hear even more clearly on this record why there were so many Billy Joel and Elton John comparisons. There is a lot here that reminds me of the first few Billy Joel records. Now, that's not Elton's fault, because Billy came after.
No.
But it's impossible for me to not hear it. You know, I hear this album and I'm hearing, this is Street Life Serenade. Yeah.
Billy.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so my number 12 from 1989, believe it or not, I've got Sleeping with the Past at number 12. I know. Leave it to Tommy. What's Tommy going to do?
Leave it to
Tommy. We can't ever know what Tommy's going to do.
He's unpredictable.
He really is. Wild card. I wrote, Healing Hands is what I was sincerely hoping he'd be doing with the bulk of this decade. And it's annoying that it took us until 1989 to get it. Now, I don't actually give much of a shit about a lot of the rest of the album, but Healing Hands I really think is a killer song. And I was really waiting for that for multiple albums.
Right.
Okay, so then we have 11 from 1976. I've got Blue Moves. After a string of uneven but damn good records, he's starting to lose me with this one. The game with any double album is to see if you can cut it down to one perfect single album. That doesn't really work here for me, since I'd find myself cutting it down to only an EP.
Wow.
I know.
Yeah, see, the thing is, I thought I could easily get this down to a single disc, but for me, I'm like, oh, damn, no. This is a 3-sider for me.
Yeah, see, it's not one of those kinds of double albums for me. Alrighty, so now we're getting into the top 10. Okay?
Yeah.
So, number 10 from 1984, I have Breaking Hearts. I wrote, his refusal to sound like it's 1984 is pissing me off. I know what 1984 is supposed to sound like, and this isn't it.
What it's supposed to sound like.
Damn it!
Yeah, like he opens up with that Roadhouse, like, rockin' tune. It's like, what?
Elton knows what Elton wants.
Elton does what he wants.
He does what he wants.
All right, so my number 9 from 1973. Don't worry, it's not the one you're thinking. Don't shoot me, I'm only the piano player.
Well, there's no way.
I'm not psychotic.
There is no way. Yeah, that would be psychotic, yeah.
There's a reason I'm on this show, come on. So, 1973's Don't Shoot Me, I'm Only the Piano Player at 9. I don't love that this is his 6th album, and I still find myself skipping a lot of songs, but oh my fucking god, Skyline Pigeon, no.
Oh, well, you know what's funny is that that's a bonus track. That isn't actually from the record.
Oh, it's not!
Yeah, you know, I thought, when I was going through stuff just a couple days ago, I was like, looking at what was online, I'm like, oh, there's like 2 to 4 extra tracks on some of these albums that these guys are going to think are from the or maybe not you, but Tom's going to think are from the records.
Yeah, this is not one that I have on
B-side.
vinyl.
High Flying Bird is actually the final track on that record.
Well, you know what? I think it still stands. I think it keeps its ranking at number 9. Yeah. I'm just a sucker for Skyline Pigeon. I don't know why.
It's good.
Okay, so my number...
why.
That's it. Yeah. Give it a listen.
Give it a listen.
My number 8 from 1983, Too Low for Zero. Not nearly 1983 enough for me. Not bad, though. It's also interesting that I am now again starting to hear Billy Joel similarities. This time similar to the material Billy Joel started putting out around this time.
Right, so now Elton is paying him back and ripping him off.
I'm Still Standing slaps hard. I had forgotten how much I disliked. I guess that's why they call it the blues when I was a kid.
Yeah. I really hated it then. I think it's okay now. I think it's a good song. There's something about it.
It's kind of hammy to me.
It kind of brought me down emotionally when I was a kid.
Yeah, you know what? That's a song that makes me go, oh, this is how Tommy feels when he hears Horse with No Name.
Mystery solved.
Yes.
Ding, ding. Yep. You nailed it.
Okay.
Okay. Where are we at? Okay.
After 2 of
yes. So, my number 7 from 1981, I have The Fox. It's 1981 and I want my 80s production. However, except for just one song, Nobody Wins, this record sounds like the tail end of classic 70s era Elton. Funny thing is, it's stronger than any of the several albums that precede it. He's sounding energized again. And I want to cut in real quick with a comment about 80s production in Elton John, because you had, and I didn't put this specifically in any one of the comments, but you had mentioned something about how it was like the bottom of the barrel version of 80s production or something that he was incorporating, or what?
Yeah, because
like
I was trying to word that in a way just so it wouldn't sound like I was bagging on 80s production in general, but rather this is like the worst possible
it was
version
like the worst
of what he
take
could
on
be
it.
doing at that time with that sound.
And I actually had a similar takeaway.
Yeah.
Because, look, not all 80s production is created equal. There were some albums that really flourished with it. Some of it was done significantly better than others. You can't just put a gated reverb on a snare and say Tommy's going to be happy. You know, there's a whole lot more to it. The songs have to be there. You got to do the production right. You have to mean it. And there's a lot of albums that came out that were trying to basically, okay, I guess now this is what we sound like, so here's a superficial version of it. Or it just sounds phoned in or cheesy or thin.
It's just sort of rote.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there was a lot, I'm hearing, once we start getting deeper into the 80s with his albums, and he's experimenting with that more and more, he's doing it really poorly.
Yeah.
And he's doing it like, it's like you're basically, I listened to some of it, I'm like, this is giving fuel for the critics of this production style.
Yeah.
You know, it's really, you're not doing it any favors right now. And unfortunately, it wasn't until Healing Hands from 1989 that it's like, oh, now this works. That's the 80s production sound that I like, and it's working with Elton too. And the song was good. Yeah,
it's a good song.
But everything before that, it just sounded like, okay, so you got a Casio and you think you know what you're doing.
You think you're 80s now.
Yeah.
yeah.
So, moving on to number 6. I have 1971's Madman Across the Water. And I wrote, Elton is here! Not nearly as good as some of the albums to come, but he's really starting to hit it at this point. And my number 5 from 1972, I have Honky Chateau. And I wrote, this barely edges out the preceding album since I find it gets dragged down a little by too much honky tonk.
Oh, there's a little bit of country
too much,
Elton.
yeah, and I'm just not there for the honky tonk. I don't need it. My number 4 from 1975, Rock of the Westies. I put this album here in this list. That's about all I could think to say, and also Don't Go Breaking My Heart is fucking amazing.
Oh, and that's also a bonus track.
God damn you, Elton!
That album ends with...
Don't tell, wait, was this song actually on the Kiki D record?
No, it was a single.
It was
Just
single.
exclusively a
Just
single.
a single.
Yeah.
Motherfucker.
Yeah, like Pinball Wizard is probably on that one
Yep.
at the end. That's all those singles that are at the tail end. That's
Yep.
all bonus tracks.
Yeah.
Well, I still think the record belongs to at number 4.
Yeah. Billy Bones and the whatever, who's it, whatever.
It's
That's
actually the
actually the
final.
last track on
Okay.
the album.
My number 3 from 1982, Jump Up. At number 3.
Wow.
It wouldn't be a Tommy list unless I pulled
Yeah,
some shit
true.
like this.
But that's one of the better albums of that era, I think.
And I wrote, it's from 1982. It doesn't sound the least bit 80s, and you might not know a single damn song on here. That's too bad, because this is an even stronger return to form than the Fox. He's trending up over the course of 2 albums now.
Well, Empty Garden and Blue Eyes were 2 singles that were actually kind of hits at the time, and you would hear them on the radio, but they're also the kind of hits that were of that moment.
And then
you
they've
wouldn't have heard them
there.
since. You
I
would have
know.
had to have been like, of that age where you were paying attention to what was on the radio at that moment in time. There were a couple of songs
Yeah,
on that
I
you
mean,
definitely would have known.
For me, I guess you have to look at it from my perspective. At this point in time, I'm 3 going on 4 that year.
Yeah.
So
That got right past you.
I'm sure I might have heard them at some point in the car and just boom, gone. Didn't just sink into my memory. And no, there are the hits that haven't stuck around. It's not like Rocket Man or Crocodile Rock, which we heard,
which you couldn't avoid.
Yeah, but these just kind of like they charted and they went away.
Yeah, they weren't even big hits,
Right.
but you did hear them, and there
Exactly.
were videos.
But
and-
if you were to go back and listen to like a Casey Kasem rebroadcast from that year, you'd hear them.
Empty
Yeah.
Garden,
Coming to number
that was a
31, you have Empty Garden or something.
hit. That was a pretty big hit, Empty Garden.
It wasn't huge. The first time I ever heard it, it popped up on MTV, and I was like, wow, like this. I'm like, this is fucking Elton John. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Just finally, it was like, this is proper Elton John, and I loved it. Yeah.
I gotta say, I think honestly, I mean, not only did I rank Jump Up at number 3 on my list, I think this is probably his best 80s album by far. I think it's really, really strong.
Could be.
Yeah.
Could be.
My number 2 is a tie.
Wow.
I've got a tie. 1974's Caribou tied with 1975's Captain Fantastic of the Brown Dirt Cowboy. Like Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, the album that preceded these, they have a mix of extremely high highs, typical album tracks, and skippable stuff. But Goodbye Yellow Brick Road just hits harder with more high marks. And that leads me into number 1 from 1973, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. I saw this coming for myself a mile away. I knew this was going to happen. You just cannot fuck with this record. You just can't.
Yeah.
I wrote, it took until his 7th album before we got this. Let that settle in. Think of how many artists and bands have been chewed up and spit out because their first album wasn't a multi-platinum masterpiece. Now, like most double albums, there is a lot here that isn't necessary, but then there's the other stuff. Goddamn.
Well, but to be fair, though, the reason why Elton got to that point is because he may not have been at that height yet, but he had major hits from his second album forward.
Yes, he did.
And he was massive.
He did.
Several, 5 albums before that, he was massive.
But, think about, okay, he puts out Empty Sky, it doesn't do well, no one gives a fuck, and the label drops him, and we never get this.
Yeah, now that could have happened. He could have gotten dropped after Empty Sky, but...
This is he could have gotten dropped after they recorded Regimental Sergeant Zippo.
Yeah, that could have been the end. When they shelved it,
no.
You're out.
Yeah, because they had 2 choices. They could have said, we're dropping you, you're done. And they opted for plan B, which is, no, go back in and record a new album.
Yeah.
Now, that's rare in and of itself for a label to decide to do that. But 7 albums in from his debut, which didn't do much and didn't leave much of an impression, we get to Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. And when I stop and I think about that, it kind of fucks with my head when you think about, well, how many artists were there that had a Goodbye Yellow Brick Road in them, and we never got it?
Yeah, you just don't know it necessarily at the beginning.
Yeah.
I mean, who knew that Billy Joel had The Stranger in him when he put out Cold Spring Harbor?
You would have never. There was no indication. It was clear the guy had talent, but you didn't know The Stranger was coming.
No.
You know, we need an album like The Stranger. It's important. We need Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. This is an important piece of work that culture needs.
And for all you money and business people, you need it too, because then it comes out and you can sell it and resell it and resell it and resell it for decades and generations to come. So you get something out of it too.
Yeah.
That's the huge difference between that time period and, let's say, the 80s on. Because there was real A&R back then.
Yep.
There were record label heads who got to know their artists, who went and scouted. They picked them out themselves. They went to showcases. It was very different than I think it all started in the 80s, when it was like, you got to have a hit. You got to have a hit.
Yeah.
You got to have a hit here. You got to do what they did. You got to do this. You got to do that.
Yep.
And then everything became heavily formulaic, because it was like, oh, wait a minute. These guys put on makeup. You put on makeup. Oh, wait a minute. These guys are wearing leather jackets. You got to wear a leather jacket. And then everything just disintegrated from there to now, where I guess it started in the 90s.
Now what you need to have
nothing.
Everything in place. You need to have the album recorded. You need to have management. You need to have an attorney. You need to have your own booking agent. You need to have successful tours. You need to have all of this before a record label will even look at you.
You have to already be a success who doesn't even need a
record label, and then they want you.
And then they'll come and take a piece of your pocket.
And I shit you not, unless you have that, you're not getting signed.
Because now we live in the era where you have to have, how many YouTube followers do you have?
You got to
how
do
many TikTok?
all the work for them.
Yeah.
This is why I hate the future.
They want to do nothing whatsoever except come in,
you do
put
it all
a little
yourself.
more ad money behind you, and then rake in the big bucks.
All they
put
wanted,
you
the
in
money
debt.
only is supposed to come in, it never supposed to go out.
Go out.
They are not developing any artists at all. We are at a point in time where we are such a far cry from an Elton John situation. If Elton John was an artist now, and he cut Empty Sky, he's
Forget
done.
it. It's
Forget
done.
it.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to release it. It's going to scream into the void. We're never going to hear from him again.
And this is a big reason why
it.
most of the music today sucks.
Yeah. But to be fair, the other side of now is that people who don't, who have their backs are turned on them by the labels and the industry, do have a voice.
Well, sure.
Yeah.
So
We have
whereas
the
back in those days,
there was nothing.
you were lost. Forget
it.
about it.
Yeah.
There was no
That's
hope.
it.
Nowadays, you can still do it without those motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah.
And
it happens a lot.
And you have to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, speaking of The Other Side of Now, that's a great title for your psychedelic pop album.
The Other Side of Now.
When you finally put it out.
Oh, that is
Wait.
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Other Side of
All
Now.
right. Yeah, the Steve
like it.
Perry Mason Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. That's gonna be
Exactly.
their debut
Steve
album.
Perry Reese's
Perry Mason Reese's Peanut
Cups with The Other Side of Now. I love it. I can't wait.
That's
Coming
a good,
2026.
That's going to be a good tour.
All
But
right.
that's my list for Elton. Over to commercial, I think.
I think it's time for a break. Yeah.
chocolate, as everybody knows. Put scrapers in your taste buds and tingles in your toes. Try the Cadbury Chunky Bar, but tastes spectacular. With a glass and a half of full cream dairy milk in every half hour. Chocolate chunk of Cadbury's, it'll taste spectacular. Spectacular.
Well, all right, we're back.
We are back.
We're back, and well, I think it's time for Crystal's list.
Hello. It is me. It is I. Excuse me.
Yes, it's me that you need.
And so let me first say that this was when we came up with our list of what we were going to shoot today. I mean, you know, we don't come up with anything until the day we shoot it. And Paul gave us the list.
That's right.
And Paul gave us the list of 500 songs. I said, I'm starting this today. So for me, right now, in this moment, this stuff is not as fresh as with these two because they just did it. So when I was doing this, minimal notes. I did not dive as deep as these two did, which, if you've been watching this channel, you know is usually the case for these things because I know what they're going to do. So,
well, also, you may shorten the episode by doing it the way you're about to do it.
Yes, I'm going to shorten this episode. So I'm the hero.
Oh,
all right.
So speed run Durant. Here she comes.
But I'm going to do it slow enough so that Paul doesn't lose his mind putting up the cards.
Oh, the cards. Yes,
I learned that lesson the hard way. All right, so coming in at number 3130, it's a tie. Yes, right off the bat. With Victim of Love from 1979, with that Johnny B. Good horse shit, and Regimental Sergeant Zippo, because I hate the title.
You know, it's like,
I cannot. 2021, you put, what? No. I hate it. Coming in at number 29, Leather Jackets. 1986, bad synths, bad songs, bad production, bad electronic drums. Coming in at number 28, Ice on Fire. It came out in 1985. I love Wrap Her Up because it's so stupid.
I won't take. Wrap her up. I won't take it.
They go home with me, wrap her up. It's so corny. I like that. Nikita, meh. It's not that good. Number 27, Wonderful Crazy Night. First of all, it sounds like a Kiss album title.
It kind of does, doesn't it?
Am I wrong?
No, you are not wrong.
Wonderful Crazy
Night. And that's my only comment. That came out in 2016.
Or a Loudness song.
Wonderful
Crazy Night. You are the hero tonight.
There,
I had that album.
Take your pick.
Right.
Coming in at number 26, Jump Up from 1982. I love Empty Garden so much. That is one of the best songs ever written. The production, everything about it is absolutely stellar. And this was the first time that he wrote with, what's his face, Tim Rice. A million years before Lion King. And Aida, which I didn't like, but anyhow. Coming in at number 25, I have The Big Picture that came in 1997. Paul Carrack on the organ for The Way You Look Tonight. Coming in,
the one good thing you can say about it.
The one good thing I can say about it. Coming in at number 24, Red Strikes Back, 1988.
Does he actually?
I love the cover album. The photo, that's great. Coming in at number 23, The One, that came out in 1992. Too Many Synths, shitty production, Clapton duet.
Oh.
But, yeah, that's it. Coming in at number 22, The Fox in 1981. Carla Etude? Is that how you say it?
Oh, you know what? I don't know.
It starts off, it opens up side 2. It's a really nice melody. It's a gorgeous melody.
Yeah. The sweet, that starts side 2.
The sweet, whatever the fuck it is. Carla, what's her face? Coming in at number 21, 21 at 33. That came out in 1980. Coming in at number 20.
It came out in 1980. That's what
moving on.
That's my comment.
Do you hate Little Genie?
Yes.
Oh,
I
Little
hate
Genie.
I hate it. Ugh. Coming in at number 20, The Diving Board. Came out in 2013.
That's all you need to know about that album.
That is when it came out.
Number 19, The Captain and the Kid. That came out in 2006. That was a huge bummer Huge bummer.
Kind of, yeah.
Because The Captain and the Kid makes you think of what? Obviously.
Well, it's the sequel.
The Captain and Tennille.
But it's terrible. Obviously, The Captain and Tennille. But I'm not surprised.
They got divorced. He got custody.
Yeah.
And we got this album.
But I'm not surprised really at how not good it was. So it was just a big bummer for me because I thought like, ooh, it's a never mind.
There's potential there.
There's potential there. It's a comeback. If he's going to try and do better than that, it's going to be fucking amazing, or at least do as good as that. And it was not that.
If he could have been half as good as that, we would have been
happier.
All right, yeah.
Number 18, Sleeping with the Past, that came out in 1989. I feel like this was his last gasp before he went to rehab. And for an homage to old school soul music, it stinks! Coming in at number 17, Made in England in 1995. Greg Penny produced it. He worked with K.D. Lang, which I feel the arrangements were good. George Martin and Paul Buckmaster, ugh. Coming in at number 16, Breaking Hearts, that came out in 1984. Oh, how I was looking forward to the magic of Davy and Nigel and Dee back together again. But it was not what I wanted, and I feel like the whole thing was a little too clean. The production was too clean for me.
Yeah.
I wanted old 70s with some grit and some swing and funk, and it didn't happen. Number 15, The Tumbleweed Connection, came out in 1970.
Wow, I'm surprised you have that.
You know why? I'll tell you why.
You tell me why.
I like it, but there's too much Civil War cowboy shit. It sounds like
the honky tonk shit,
right? It sounds like unreleased material from the band.
Yeah, Bernie was
so
and still is
right
obsessed with Americana
cowboy shit
and all that kind of shit.
So I know why it is what it is, but it's too much. I can't.
I find it grating. It's really grating.
It's not. I don't like it. Coming in at 14, Too Low for Zero. That came out in 1983. Coming in at number 13, A Single Man. That came out in 1978.
Barely.
Number 12, Blue Moves. That came out in 1976.
Oh.
Too many long songs. Sorry seems to be the hardest word. Stand out. Coming in at number 11, Songs from the West Coast. That came out in 2001. I remember, this is his comeback. He's Elton comeback. There's a big comeback. No. Patrick Leonard's production, Rufus Wainwright, Stevie Wonder. I like those two things.
Jesus.
And then the song That Train.
Oh, This Train Don't Stop You No More.
That was great. And the video with Justin Timberlake, fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
So fucking good. I think he was wearing your jacket in that video.
Maybe even the glasses too.
I think
Maybe
so. Yeah, it was. Look it up. It's awesome. Coming in at number 10, Peachtree Road, that came out in 2004. Oh, it's Elton John comeback. He's coming back. Yeah, it's a comeback. It's a new thing. It was halfway decent gospel-y, a little funk soul, a little country. The songs were okay. His thing, it kind of. Not an homage to being in Atlanta, because Peachtree Road. If you know anything about Atlanta, Georgia, they're 800 Peachtree Road, Avenue Street, whatever. Cul-de-sac, too much. Coming in at number 9, Don't Shoot Me, I'm Only the Piano Player, in 1973. Of that early era, that's my least favorite.
Here, here.
Yeah, I don't... What they said before, scroll back. Coming in at number 8, Empty Sky, that came out in 1969.
Wow.
I don't know. It just doesn't do it for me. Coming in at number 7, Madman Across the Water, came out in 1971. Again, there's some good stuff on it, but I'm not... yeah. It sounds crazy, but there's other stuff I like a whole lot more.
Okay.
Okay. Coming in at number 6, Honky Chateau in 1972. I guess, what is it? I Think I'm Gonna Kill Myself, goofy lyrics. There's some other good stuff on there, Honky Chateau. But again, I like it, but not as much as the other stuff. If you want to know the standouts, just listen. I know, Paul.
Would you like 2 Elton John albums?
No, I like other things.
She likes Goodbye and Yellow Brick Road. Those 2 albums.
That's it. Just those 2.
Yeah, he likes both Elton albums.
I'll say this in my defense. You know how there's certain things, it's like, I forget one of the last in your list where it was just like, it touches me here because of XYZ.
Goodbye, Captain Fantastic.
Those other things more so than this. And I'm not saying it's terrible. I'm just like, yeah, okay. There's some standout stuff on it, but it's not enough for me to say any more about it, especially right now because of them. Coming in at number 5, I have Elton John from 1970. Your Song, obviously, but I love the strings, I love the harpsichord and the production of this whole thing. But Take Me to the Pilot, holy shit. The first time I heard that on the radio, and it was college radio, not commercial radio. Thank you to Muhlenberg College's radio station. I was just completely blown away because for white guys who want to sound as blackety black as possible, especially when it comes to a gospel tune, usually it falls flat. They don't have the voice for it. They can't get the arrangement right. They just don't have the soul. And Elton John has the soul. And that song is one of my all-time favorite songs in my whole life. I love it. I sang it at an F-bomb. I fucking love that song.
And then there's the 11/17/70 live version of that shit.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, incredible. And I was 5 when that came out, but I remember hearing it on the radio, and my mother loved it. Loved it. That was like, as far as I remember, that was the first Elton John song that I remember her playing all the time. She loved it so much. It was so great. Coming in at number 4, Goodbye to Yellow Brick Road. I know it's number 4.
What the fuck
call
just
me crazy.
happened?
I'm telling you,
And
why?
there are 3 songs she likes on it.
Yeah.
No, there's more than 3 songs. I like 4
fine.
songs on it. No, it's
3 of them are bonus tracks.
And 3 of them are bonus tracks.
Yeah, that one wasn't on the album.
I love the extended version of Goodbye to Yellow. No, I love it, but it's number 4. Number 3, I have Caribou.
Wow.
Yeah,
Right.
I love it more.
Wow.
And I'll say part of it is because my mom really loved it, so I listened to that more than...
She played it. Did you guys have Goodbye Yellow Brick Road in the house at the time?
Oh, yeah.
But Caribou just got played more.
It just got played more, yeah.
Alright.
My mom bought all these records, yeah.
Certain ones were favored and got played more often than others.
Right, yeah. I mean, she even had these on fucking 8-tracks so we could listen in the car.
Now that is the reality of living in the 70s. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. If you weren't like ka-chunk recording it yourself on the thing, then you bought it. But yeah. My number 2 is, and this was almost a tie, 2 and 1, or I flip-flopped. My number 2 is Rock of the Westies. God damn it, I love that record. When that came out, I literally wore out that record. Because I was 10 years old. I bought it myself at the record store, and... holy shit, it's so great. You had Patti LaBelle and Nona, and just, it's fucking fantastic. It was really great. But my number 1 Elton John album is obviously Captain Fantastic and the Brown Dirt Cowboy. I got in trouble bringing that album to school.
Oh,
Yeah, because when I was in 5th grade, on Fridays in the afternoon, like the last 2 hours of school, we could bring in our records and play them while we did whatever, like our homework or something, like fun time. And I brought that album in. And first of all, my teacher was like, this looks satanic.
Oh, for God's sake.
Right. Because, just look at the album cover. It's that crazy weird painting. You're zooming in on these little trolls and things, and you don't know what's going on. And, it's very, it's like, I can see why she would say satanic or demonic, because it looks like some shit that came up from hell. It's really weird looking, And then him like, wow, with the top hat and all that. Oh my God.
Well, you know what's, that's hilarious, because I brought that to school in kindergarten in 1975 for the same exact, and got in trouble Because of the cover.
Yeah.
I was a kindergarten kid, and my teacher looked at the back, and there's the naked woman, and there's like the it's almost like a jug
Bring
or
that over
whatever
here,
record
Tommy.
player that's taking a shit.
Yeah, hand that over, Tommy. So,
Yeah.
I mean, there's Bernie in this weird
this.
bubble. There's this nude woman, this weirdo troll, like guy smoking weed. Like it's very weird. These skulls. It's very weird. It's very, very weird. And
No, actually, you know what this reminds me of? What is it? Who's the artist that did that triptych? That famous triptych? Was it? Hieronymus Bosch. Garden of Earthly Delights.
Oh,
Okay,
right,
yeah,
right.
It looks like that Bosch piece.
yeah.
Yes.
When I was 5 and this was a new record, I stared and stared at this, and boy, did I not know what to make of this. I mean, when you're 5, you're used to not knowing what to make of shit.
Yeah.
So I don't think it really threw me off that much, but this is especially just like,
Yeah.
Yeah, and my teacher called my parents. And was like, "What? You can't da 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 da." My mother was like, "It's a piece of artwork," and then she broke it down for her because my mother was an artist, and was like, "Do you know she has this?" And my mom said, "Yeah, it's her record. Shut up."
I do know. I bought it for her.
I bought it for her. Yes.
Yeah.
So that's that. So that's my number 1. Ta-da! How did I clock in? 10 minutes.
All right.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
It's actually 18 minutes.
Well, this episode is clocking in at a reasonable length, all things considered. I
Hour
would
and
say.
15.
Minutes. Okay.
Not bad.
All
bad.
right.
It's a lot
Well,
of stuff.
let's take a little break. All right, shall we? All right.
Tonight, I'll be eating lobster ravioli with shaved truffle. Yes.
You look amazing.
No, you look amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, that was a pretty sweet Elton John Alphabets commercial you just found and threw in there.
Ah, if only.
I know.
only.
If only.
Oh my God. All right. Well,
Wowza.
thank you everybody for hanging out for an hour and a half, listening to us babble about Elton John. And but you love Elton as you should. So
We did it for you, Damien.
yeah,
All
we did
for
it
you.
for you. Yeah. But thank you everybody who has subscribed. But if you haven't, what the hell's wrong with you? Maybe please consider subscribing. If you do, click the little bell because of notifications. And but you know what? Come back next week.
What are we
back
doing?
next week
What are we
because we
doing?
have another album review.
Yes,
Oh,
we
yeah.
do.
Oh,
We
yeah,
have
we
an
do.
album review next week, right?
This time I selected the album.
Yes, Tommy
Boy,
selected this
howdy.
album. We're going to be reviewing Warrant's Cherry Pie from 1990. Yeah. So you're going to want to come back for that.
Oh, yes.
See what we have to say. All right. Well, thank you everybody for hanging out. We will see you soon.
Bye.
Okay. All right. Are we? Looks like we are not. There we go. Ah, there we go.
And now Paul can sleep at night.
Oh my God! Now I will not just. Yeah, now I won't be having this breakdown while editing this.
The magic look is we each lose a limb.
I think. Well, let's see. I mean,
Close enough. That's fine.
did I overcompensate? No, we're all
No,
okay.
we're
Okay.
fine.
Yeah. All right.
Well,
Well,
You didn't count.
I didn't count. I'm sorry. I did a visual. I didn't.
Come on.
he was doing nonverbal cues,
God
Crystal.
damn it.
Okay, I didn't. Okay, all right. I was testing you, keeping you on your toes.
And you
Great.
failed.
Okay.
All right.
3, 2, 1.
Well,